The Ritikal era of Hindi literature functioned as a strict, mathematically rigid system of patronage. Poetry followed a geometric grid of formal expectations. Courtly life revolved around acharyatva, the obsession with technical rule-following. Poets competed to construct flawless metric patterns and increasingly complex rhetorical devices, known as alankar. This work was buddhigamya, or purely intellectual. Poets treated verse as a puzzle designed to entertain royal patrons, rather than a medium for expression. This formalized system objectified love and beauty. Metric perfection became a substitute for genuine emotional resonance. These study materials highlight the historical trap of the era. The text notes that poets lost faith in their creative power, suffering from the ambition of titles like acharya rather than the pursuit of art. The Ritikal era produced a magnificent but hollow architectural structure for poetry. It was a rigid system that required an anomaly to break it. Ghananand rejected the nirmatan, the intellectual churning that defined his contemporaries. He introduced swanahuti, a revolutionary concept where poetry is driven by unmediated inner experience rather than external observation or forced structure. This manuscript excerpt contains his famous declaration on how his creative process differed from the orthodox system. People strive to make poetry. My poetry makes me. This statement subverts the entire concept of acharyatva. The poet is no longer an architect assembling words, but a vessel for the emotion. Ghananand weaponized his own suffering, grounding Hindi poetry in a specific psychological reality that courtly poets had previously avoided. The core of Ghananand's work is Viyog Shringar, the poetry of separation. His verses grew from the trauma of his heartbreak and exile, following his rejection by the courtesan Sujan. Poets like Bahari measured the pain of separation through physical exaggerations. They focused on external signs of agony, such as burning skin or constant tossing and turning. Literary historian Acharya Ramchandra Shukla validates this distinction. As highlighted here, Shukla observes that while others measured grief externally, Ghananand's turbulence remains entirely internal. The standard Ritikal model of grief functions through an external thermodynamic release, radiating kinetic energy outward for an audience to witness. The ultimate paradox of his work is centered on his muse, Sujan. He utilized shlesh, or a dual meaning. Literally, Sujan is the name of the earthly courtesan who rejected him, but Sujan also translates as the wise one, a direct reference to the divine, specifically Krishna. This single word acts as a load-bearer. By speaking to Sujan, he simultaneously addresses an ex-lover and prays to God, bridging the gap between human agony and theology. After his exile from court, Ghananand relocated to the holy city of Vrindavan. He maintained his grief, initiating a process of sublimation by taking initiation into the Nimbarka Sampradaya sect. He navigated a structured theological framework of devotion, or bhakti bhavana. It begins at the foundation. In dasyabhav, or servitude, the devotee surrenders their faults and acknowledges the power of the divine. The framework then moves to sakyabhav, or friendship. Here, the devotee treats the divine as an equal, allowing for the expression of direct frustration. These stages converted his worldly bitterness into a sanctioned religious dialogue. The framework reaches its final state, kanta, or sakyabhav. This posture represents the agonizing, unrequited longing of the gopis for Krishna. Ghananand's secular torment over Sujan aligns with this esoteric state of spiritual devotion. This specific verse demonstrates his mastery of the theological framework. It explains that devotees earn authority in the divine realm of Braj only when they are saturated in this agonizing ras, or essence, of separation. Ghananand's work demonstrates that worldly despair functions as a mechanical engine for enlightenment when channeled correctly